Uh, Big day, a week from Sunday, going down to Cooperstown. I know a lot of people, you guys still think of him as Tommy from Billerica, but now he's going to be a bronze god in Cooperstown. What's your, anybody wants to kind of chime in, what do you think your emotions will be that day?
I ever thought about Tommy originally. I remember going to the games, and they used to pronounce his name, Tommy Glavine. They never got it right. Of course, we're from Billerica, so we know what it was. And then on top of that, they would pronounce Billerica. You've heard everything that they possibly said. Just have to say, I don't think they'll be mistaking his name anymore.
And Paul, you were on the immortal '83 team that beat Brockton in that memorable game, and we were kind of reminiscing about that. And Tommy still calls that one of the, despite going on to World Series championships with the Braves, and now in the Hall of Fame, one of the 5 greatest sports memories he has.
I mean, he started the game for us. He gave us, he gave it everything he had. He brought in Duke Purdy, our second pitcher, moved Tommy out to center field. He comes up with the big throw at the right time, and then he come up with the big hit at the right time, and it's because of him that allowed us to win that state championship game. I mean, he always made the big plays at the right time.
People say the kid was already had his hands up in the air like it was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Well, most guys that fielding that ball, it probably was a winning run, but but with Tommy out there, I mean, he had a cannon of an arm, and it was a one hopper, and we had a good catcher who could handle the ball, and there was no way that guy was going to get by Jimmy Fielding at the plate.
But he came around.
You were in right field, right, Scott? You were.
Yeah, he came around third base with his hands up, Bernie Cabo style, like he thought he was in, and I could see it because the ball was in between us. When he threw it, he came around. His hands were up. He's going around like this, and he was out by 5 feet at the plate. And he was so surprised. He didn't slide or anything. He was standing up when they threw the tag on him.
And of course, you guys won the game in the next inning. So
yeah.
that would have been a walk-off win for Brockton.
Yeah, and Tommy actually got the hit, and he got knocked in and he scored the winning run.
And Ed, you a neighbor. You grew up a couple houses down on Treble Cove Road, the now famous Treble Cove Road in Billerica. Millie Glavine, Tom's mom likes to say that he always all the kids were waiting around to play street hockey while he was in finishing his homework. But what was kind of the neighborhood dynamic like then?
That was us. It was fun. It was whatever the sport was, we were out there playing it. Street hockey, wiffle ball, football, basketball, whatever it was, we were always out there. But yeah, Millie had a tight leash on Tom, so we'd be waiting for him to come outside. But he was always the first one picked for each team. We had older kids playing, and Tom was the first one picked. So it was fun.
What do you next week, next Sunday? Obviously, you're going out there. I know we've known since January that he's going, but to see that actual plaque that's going to go into the gallery in the hall, I'm sure that's going to. I can imagine the pride in Billerica. This doesn't happen to many towns in Massachusetts.
Oh, absolutely! It's going to be historic for us. I mean, we've known him for so many years, and always knew he was going to be good, but I never thought he'd get to this plateau.
Life's full of ironies, and the first time I went to Cooperstown was back in the early '90s. We were doing some college visits out there, and we went to Cooperstown for the day. And as we came out of the museum, the newspaper machines out on the sidewalk, it was Baseball Weekly, which was a publication, and there's Tommy on the front cover of Baseball Weekly as I walk out of the Hall of Fame. So I grabbed a couple copies, and when I got back to my office the next week, I sent him one. And I penned something to the effect of, Glavs, saw you in Cooperstown this week. I hope you're there eventually at the end of your career. Something to that effect. So going back there, this will be my second time, and actually he'll be going into the Hall of Fame. I've been thinking about that a lot lately and how ironic it is. But to Eddie's point, you always knew Glavs was going to do something. It was,
To that point, though, or
well, you just knew he was going on to greatness. It was just a matter of what level it was going to be. And having been involved in athletics and being an athletic director, we talk a lot about athletes and kids. And there's a fine line between cockiness and assuredness. And Tommy always had that assuredness and confidence and just the ability to get it done. And those are the things I remember him as a teammate. You just knew he was in control, but he wasn't cocky about it and he wasn't full of himself about it. He just knew his swagger, and we saw it on TV with the World Series and everything else. When he was on the mound, he was in control.
Now,
And that's-
Aaron, I know he's not an actual uncle, but I know your dad's very close to Tommy, still very close friends. Does he feel almost like an Uncle Tommy? I understand he went back a few times to check in on you at Lowell Catholic in hockey season.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. It was it's great having him at my hockey game one time, and when he was still pitching around 275th win, I'd text him after every win to 300, let him know how many games he's got left.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Yeah,
was it,
Countdown.
who was putting up the sign? I remember during the countdown to 300, somebody was putting up a sign in the town. Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell me that? I remember that. Do you work for that? Do you work for the highway
Yeah,
department?
I'm the highway superintendent. We
Yeah.
have a signboard in the center, so
Right.
we were keeping track of how many more wins he needed at his next start. And so it was exciting to watch and to count down. I remember, was it Milwaukee he lost and then went to Chicago?
Yeah, no,
yeah.
then he went out to Chicago because we just happened to hit it right.
Yeah.
Because we were watching it, and then it was at least 4 or 5, and we ended up booking the trip out there.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to text him for the 300; he was there live, so it was kind of nice. You know,
What's the reaction of some of your classmates and teammates when Tommy's kind of low key anyway, but when he shows up, the fourth winningest left-hander in history is just showing up to watch you play. What,
Oh, they're pretty shocked. I act like it's no big deal.
it's funny along sides of Tommy and just how big he was. I was at a Bruins game, and Ray Bork was still playing, and he was hurt and injured, and we were sitting. It was my wife, his wife, and we were sitting up in the area where Johnny Busick and all they
Right.
did the games. And in between periods, Ray Bork came down, and he came with one of his sons. And they came walking by, and he stopped, and he saw Tommy. And he's like, "Tommy, do you mind if my son gets your autograph?" So his son turns around and goes, "Who's this guy?" And he goes, "That's Tommy Glavine." His son saying this to him. So they had a conversation. He went on his way. And when he went away, I just said to him, I said, "Well, that puts things in perspective. Now, that was one of your favorite players of all time asking you for his autograph for his son." And that's when
I had this similar
it
story
just went,
for
it went,
for
it
Bobby
just went
Orr,
full
same thing.
circle.
We went into the game, my brother Scott and I with Tommy, we were in the Nike box. We were walking down, and out of the corner of my eye, as three are walking down the hallway, and out of the corner of my eye, I see, I go, "Geez, I don't have the greatest eyesight." I go, "I think that's Bobby Orr." So I tapped Tommy, I go, "I think that's Bobby Orr, right?" So Bobby must have heard something. He turns around, he's from here to the refrigerator away, and he goes, "Tommy, I didn't know you were in town." Now that's my that's my legend
Right.
growing up. Bobby Orr was a god around here, anywhere, a lot of places. I get to meet him a few different times in different tournaments, and for him to turn around and come back to Tommy, he was just as happy to see Tommy as I'm sure Tommy was him. Now, he's one of my idols walking back to say hi to a childhood friend of ours. It just blew my mind.
And of course, Tommy did have as anyone in Billerica would know, was a rather talented hockey player. And I know, well, Paul, you would have a pretty good perspective. I know we've talked about it before. You went on and became a Division I player at UMass Lowell, and that's where Tommy was headed also. And sometimes reputations get enhanced with the legend, but tell me, how good a hockey player was he?
He, like I said, people always look at him as the scoring player, but he was a complete player. I mean, like I said, he was our best defensive forward. He was our best offensive player. The accolades he got in hockey, I mean, he was one of the best in this area. And then, I know Billy Riley was very disappointed because Billy Riley talks about it to this day that, what would it have been like to have a Morris-Glavine tandem up front.
We're speaking John Morris and Johnson.
Again, Johnny Morris and Tommy battled in high school against each other for the scoring title. Now these two together in college hockey, it would have been great to watch.
And then, Roger Richard, our coach at the
Yep,
time.
who I understand is making the trip on the recreation bus, I heard.
That's
Yep.
what Paul said.
Yeah, he
I'm
is.
excited that he's going to be there. I hope Sid finds his way there too.
Sid is going by him. Sid is going on his own, and he booked his room a year ago.
Good.
He didn't wait for the baseball Raiders.
Good thing.
Roger used to tell me all the time, just get the puck onto Tommy's stick. And that was the thing. You go in and you dig it out of the corners, and you just got it to Glavs. And a lot of people don't remember, but we called him Silk because he was so smooth. And there was one game at Merrimack College against Andover, and I think, Amesy, correct me, I think he had 6, maybe 7 goals. I mean, every puck he touched that night, went to the back of the net.
I think that was
I
Chelmsford.
think it was against Chelmsford actually. It might have been
Okay.
against Chelmsford.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some. Yeah.
And it was like magic because
You would remember Billerica Chelmsford. You
Well,
would
I
remember.
know.
Oh, we
I think
hope it was
John had. I
Chelmsford.
think John had 4 goals,
Yeah.
and Tommy had 5 goals.
Yeah.
And I think that was.
It's funny. I think
had the
Jack Fletcher and
under-
me
under-
reminisced about that game once. I think.
Well, I think what happened, John got knocked out in that game. One of our defensemen knocked him out with a hit, and he had 4 goals at that point. And Tommy had 5.
We know what he accomplished in baseball. I remember at the time he was drafted, Tommy, always a very smart guy, straight A student, as John Sidorovich tells me, said that he thought he was, because he was a left-hander in baseball, he thought that's where his future lied. Now, you never know what's going to happen. He was a fairly high round draft pick in the NHL. Is there any doubt in any of your mind that he would have played in the NHL if that's the avenue he chose?
Well, I think during our time, it still was. I mean, Bobby Carpenter had just made it to the NHL. I think it was still a little far-fetched to get guys. Tommy Barrasso came on the scene at that time, but a lot of the American players still weren't getting. They were in the minor leagues a long time, trying to figure out the way to get there. So, I mean, obviously, do I think he had the talent? Yes. There's so many guys that I played with that had all the talent in the world to make it, but for whatever reason, they didn't.
Right.
Whether, I mean, you got to have a team. I think when you're a high pick, I think teams give you that opportunity to find a way to make that team, or else their scout's going to look bad. You know, they afford you that time. But you know, he made the right choice. I mean, left-handed, 22 years. And how many guys played 22 years in the NHL other than Ray Bork? And Ray Bork was built to play 22,
Like you
20
said,
years.
Tommy's
Tommy still looks,
intelligent
he still kind of he still looks 25. He's very youthful.
He's an intelligent kid, and he made the right decision. I mean, let's admit he was smart enough back then to know hockey players get banged around a lot more than baseball players, and his longevity for his career, and obviously it proved to be the right choice when you end up in the Hall of Fame.
You have that hat that's autographed by Tommy. And tell the story that was like deck hockey. You guys had a deck hockey team, and even though Tommy was
We
already,
had we had deck hockey team.
this is while he's playing for the Braves.
Yeah. He loved he used to play in a deck hockey team. The name of our team was Devastation, and we had a really good team back then, as Ames and I was
This is
talking
probably
about outside.
90s.
Yeah, 90s,
Yep.
90s, something like that. And we played for a long time. I mean, since we were little kids, we've been playing. Whenever we come home, let's put the boys together for a deck hockey game. It didn't matter if we were down the high school or down the boys club with the fenced-in area, always playing. Got all the buddies together, the neighborhood kids. Eddie would come down. We played with the younger kids and whatnot. But he always, whenever we had a team, he would always call, and we had a great record that year. It was just like we had a 3-year running record. And anyways, he would always call and check. So it was nice that he came home and he signed a hat to the whole team, keep up the good work and whatnot. But he was always, if we were playing in the national tournaments down in Lemon State, Scotty would get a call from him saying, "What's the score? It's the only end of the first period. We'll call you when the game's over." You know, he wanted to know how the boys were doing, how the team was doing.
And you know, as a former boyhood friend growing up on the same street, is it? You know, I've kind of made reference to this Cooperstown. It's almost like it echoes. It's almost like he's beyond flesh and bone now. He's a god. Is it hard to think of him like that? Is he still just the guy who comes home and shovels off the pond to play hockey?
He's always remembered where he came from. That's the thing with Tommy, you know. But it's still, you know, it's great, and it's, you know, it's just, I'm in awe, you know. He get to where he wanted to go, and, you know, he deserves it, you know.
I know the recreation department has a group going out, and I think I talked to Joe Higgins, and it's over 100 going out in that group. Any sense of how many people from Billerica are going out?
I know there's 112 with the recreation.
Yep.
I think there's another 30 to 35 that are going on their own. A few Billerica police officers are going.
I'd say 500 easily.
Yeah, I know Rich Scanlon, the town assessor's going, and Marty Conway, and Steve Elmore.
We're meeting a lot of people out there too.
So yeah, a lot of people.
And of course, the interesting dynamic this year is Tommy on his conference call kind of quipped that he doesn't know if anybody's going to be left to turn a field to do what he worked that weekend. You have he's going in with Maddox and Bobby Cox. They manage going in. It's a very unique dynamic. The three of them all.
That's awesome.
Magic.
It's quite a class when you really break it down. And I've talked to some people in that general area, Syracuse area, and you know, they said expect a bigger crowd because not only those guys from the Braves, but Joe Torre is highly thought of throughout the state of New York, and people really, really appreciate what he did, and that in and of itself is going to magnify that.
When I talk to the Hall of Fame, they have because they don't sell tickets. It's free on the that they really have no idea how many people are going to show up, but. their guess is it'll be kind of in the neighborhood of the second most people that have showed up. I guess the Ripken Tony Gwynn one was kind of
Sure.
off the charts.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
But and is everybody kind of going out Friday? What's the
Yeah, we're doing a little side trip to Niagara Falls, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
swinging down through
that's quite a bit.
Cooperstown
That's a
on the
big
way
side
home.
trip.
Well, we head to Niagara Falls to start and come back through Cooperstown to end. So
Yeah, we're leaving on Friday, just not sure what time, so.
We're just trying to coordinate it because me, Eddie, Scott, and the family are all staying at the same place, which is nice. We lucked out.
Yeah, how far away are you guys?
We're right in Cooperstown.
Oh, yeah.
We're right a couple of miles right outside of Cooperstown, the closest hotel to,
Wow.
to the place.
You guys did all right then.
I'm leaving Friday morning, so I bought a camper to go.
So it's kind of like
There
a
you
it's like
go.
a pilgrimage.
Just for this,
Yeah, I
by the
bought
way.
a- I
Just
bought
to
a
go on a
camper.
camper, just
Yeah.
for this?
Yeah, I wasn't traveling 5 hours with.
He says it wasn't
4
just for this,
boys.
but we'll see.
And I guess by all accounts, not to name drop, but you've kind of remained his closest friend among his. They kind of all agree among
Best friend.
his best friend
Absolutely.
from the high school years. How did that kind of? How did you and Tom? Are you personality alike? Are you? How did that kind of come about?
It's strictly a talent thing, you know. So, no, I'm just kidding. No. He's
tutorials.
just values, just the way he lives his life, the way he carries himself. He's just easy to get along with. Just a really easy guy to become very, very friendly with.
How often do you kind of still? I know he's. I got to admit, I don't want to. I mean, he can't say no. I mean, I try not to abuse my cell phone privileges with him, but he's just. It's like calling your
very
anybody,
approachable,
yeah.
right? And I text him, twice a month. Just how things going, how are the kids, what are the plans, that type of thing. You going on any vacations? Want to get together to do this, that type of thing. So, Aaron stays in touch with him as much as I do, actually, which has been really nice, because. But that's how, like I said,
Yeah.
approachable he is and how fun he, relates to the kids great, and Aaron's felt very comfortable all along. Like I said,
Not tough
texting
to
back
take.
and forth.
I think it's good for Aaron because now Aaron's he's playing baseball. He played hockey.
Right.
He has the resources. He could come to me and ask me about hockey advice. Talk to Tony about baseball advice. I mean, we all try to help each other with each other's kids, with putting them in the right direction.
You
Knowledge is awesome.
taught Aaron how to skate, Ames. He did. Yeah,
I used to
that's
work-
why
I
he's
used
got
to work
such a
at-
good skater.
Did you teach Tommy how to skate?
I think he used to watch me skate. I want to be just like him.
Taught him everything he doesn't know.
I guess just in conclusion, is there? I remember. I think it was you and I was talking to when he won his 300th, and you were talking about. You still remember him pulling up in his car or something? Are you pulling up?
Yeah, well,
practice every day.
Yeah. Well, he,
Is there something when you with this event coming up, the induction Cooperstown? If not, that's fine. But is there some story you think about Tommy from those days that kind of makes you laugh? That's being Tommy Glavine. I'm sure they're all suitable for family, but
I was gonna say, I think he's thinking about this one.
No, I think if I think of a story, Amesy, what about the? There's lots of stories going back to the days when we were in school, but going back to the locker room stories you were talking about, and what about the Gran Torino one? That's about as good
Yeah, I
as
mean,
they get.
as a group, we hung. I mean, it was a lot of us used to hang together, and it was never, we'd pick on each other, and have a lot of laughs together,
Yeah.
and
You could take it as
we'd
well
come
as
home
you could
from
give.
after baseball practice. There was one day where I was driving, and we had Duke Purdy, Scott, and Tommy in the car, and we were leaving from behind the high school, and I pull out, and I'm just ready
You
to
were
take
a
a
new
left.
driver. You were a new driver as
Of
well.
course, I was a new driver, but I wasn't moving at the time.
Walk
And
your ears.
some girl comes in on her permit. She's driving with her mother, and she takes a turn and she just wipes out my whole side of my car.
But there was no chance that she was going to make that turn. We're all looking, we're in the back seat, and we're tapping each other like this, and Paul's just sitting there still like this, and all you hear was crease right down the side, and like, pretty
I
much
remember
what we
bringing,
thought.
the, bringing
she
the
wasn't
car
making
back
that
home,
turn.
and my father's looking at me like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "It wasn't my fault. Even the four of us are in the car." And I mean,
course not.
Thank God Tommy was on the other side of the car. You know what I mean? It was my side that got hit.
Scotty, what about the time you and him got pulled over and one of the
yeah.
police officers
In the
carded
center.
him
Oh,
and
that's
said,
a
"You're
good
a
one.
long way from home, aren't you,
Yeah,
son?"
yeah.
Mr. Glavine, Mr. Glavine
Yeah,
again.
well, it was late at night. We had been to a benefit, and we were coming through the center of town.
what era is this?
Oh, this is probably And that was about 10 years ago.
Oh, so
Yeah,
he's
well, yeah,
already,
wasn't
he's
not
too
that-
long.
not that
yeah.
long ago.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
this is the funny part, though. It's only 10 years ago. Here he is, super famous. He's the Roger Clemens of this area,
Yeah.
but he's he's bigger. And we're coming to this town, and we weren't going fast or anything or whatever, but we went through. But it was I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning. We got pulled over, and all of a sudden the cop came up to the window and he says, "Mr. Crandall," looked at my license. He goes, "I see yours as well." He looks at his and he looks in, does a little look back, and he thought he was going to say something. I'm like, "Oh, hey, Tommy." He looks down and he goes, "A long way from home, Mr. Glavine, aren't we?" As if he was like a drug lord or something like that. Like what? He goes, and he was dead serious.
He was dead serious. He had no idea who he was.
Yeah, but the thing is, and
But
his
it's
name,
Atlanta.
his
Yeah,
name,
Atlanta.
it's got Atlanta, Georgia, Tom Glavine, huh? I don't know, it might be him.
But not only that, his cousin's
Yeah,
a sergeant.
Yeah, his
He's the
father-
one that gets the call at the desk. Is Jackie,
Yeah.
his cousin, is a cop. He's a CO
He's the
at the
sergeant.
desk. And he comes in, yeah, can you run this guy? He's a long way from home, Alpharetta, Georgia.
over
Tommy
the
Glavine, once again, the Glavine. He goes, you might want to check that license and look at the spelling again on that. You want to look at that? And the cop looked at it and he got back to him and he says, do you see what I'm talking about? And the radio just went silent. You can be on your way, Mr. Glavine.
Yeah. So do you
The
remember?
Bounty, why is it, where,
Holiday in Nashville.
The Bounty was
yes,
in Nashville, yeah.
yes, I know where that is.
So Tommy and I were out one night, and this was early in his career, and
He was in the minors maybe, or?
no, I think he was
Early
actually,
grades?
so Earl Hershiser was big, and he was in that 20 scoreless
Yep,
things that,
yep.
that he was going through, and this is one of those stories that I think back, and it was pretty amazing. We're watching him up on TV, and Tommy kept watching intently, and he's like, he's unbelievable, and I kept saying, yeah, this guy's amazing, and Tommy was playing, but it was very, very early in the career, and he looked up and he just said, he goes, yep, but someday, he goes, that's going to be me.
Oh,
And-
wow.
And,
Wow,
and
yeah.
Oral Hershiser went on, as you know, to be a Hall of Famer, and sure enough, Tommy is now too. So that's
Oral's not in yet.
Oh, I thought he was.
No,
Okay,
no,
all right.
yeah.
So
I
not
thought
only
he
did he,
was.
not only
Tommy
was that
It wasn't
him,
World Series, they're both World
so
Series.
he surpassed him then. Even that, so you got him,
Oral-
Tom.
Even better.
Here's
that's
another
great.
one that
I don't think Oral has the longevity,
Uh-oh.
certainly some
Uh-oh.
great years.
Scotty doesn't remember this one, but
Can I leave my tape recorder
you
out?
can leave it on this one. Glavs was home and he took us into a Bruins game. We went in to see the Islanders and he had the box for us.
Yep.
And we went to the floors prior to the game.
Yes.
And we went
Is that with
upstairs.
DiGeronimo there?
DG wasn't there, but they put us upstairs and they sat us at a table such that the TV was right in front of us. And breaking news was the Red Sox had signed Pedro for $46 million. And Glavs is at the table. He said, I can't, he's not worth $46 million. And you said something like, and you're worth what they're paying you? You just brought him right back to earth.
That's been an ongoing thing with him and I forever.
Yeah.
So that's, yes, and anytime he would call me and we'd be talking, and I'd be like, yeah, I work like 70 hours this week, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm on my way into work too, and he'd start sniffling and
Golfing.
and stuff like
Pedro,
that.
I think Pedro goes in next year, I think. Right? So
Yeah.
I think he's eligible, 2009.
But
Smoltzy too?
You were so
Schmaltzy
quick with
too.
that response. That was so funny.
Schmaltz will go in. That's what Glavine was talking today about how it's. You never know when your careers are going to end, and he was actually trying to pitch again, but as it turned out, just by coincidence, he's going in the same year as Maddox, and but they're all missing. Schmaltz will go in next year.
Oh,
Could have been
Would have been nice to see
could have been all
four
four of them, yeah. And he mentioned Chipper Jones will go in. Other than that,
Absolutely.
I think Sherholtz maybe is an executive.
Yeah. Darren, do you have a favorite memory that you want
You
to
have a
share?
favorite
here?
Uncle Tom?
Tell him some
He did.
home runs you hit off a
He-
wiffle ball.
yeah, there it comes.
Where do you guys
Here it
play?
comes.
Out here? Or?
Actually, at his house in Greenwich that he used to live in. When he was,
Oh,
Connecticut.
he
Connecticut.
lived. Tommy lived out
When
there.
he
Yeah,
was,
the Mets.
When he was playing for the
Oh,
Mets.
he played for the Mets. That's right. I forgot.
Um,
Forgot about that chapter.
Cup of coffee.
300 wins though. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a tie game, and it was me and my dad versus him and his sons, and they really wanted to win. They were a little smaller than me. And,
Yeah, for his kids, right?
yeah. And he said, "I'm gonna strike you out," and then he threw one in, and I hit a walk-off home run.
But he was little though when this happened, right? Because this was a while ago.
How old were you?
I was probably 12,
12.
13.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was funny because his kids were younger, and his little one was super competitive, right? And Tom's obviously his hero and everything like that, and he's like, Dad, we're not going to lose to them, right? So they were actually up one, and and I was on base and Aaron's up, and he goes, Tommy was like this, and he had been throwing him normal, and he said, sorry, Aaron. He goes, and he was going to blow it by him, and he threw a missile, and he hit it,
Yeah.
and Tommy's face was like, Aaron, like this, but it was the funniest thing. And later that night, though, Tish, we were at the game, so we're at the Mets game now, and Tommy was out there, and he was pitching and everything, and Tommy's family's behind us, and we're all talking and everything, and so Tommy's pitching a great game, and it's about the 7th inning. He's got no runs up there. He's pitching awesome. And Aaron turns to me and he goes, "Hey, Dad," and he goes, "That guy on the mound on there." He goes, "What'd you tell him? What was their exact words?" I took it. I hit the. He goes, I hit a walk-off home run today against him. He goes, I took him deep. That's right. So
That's funny.
it was funny.
That is great.
Very great. I mean,
That's
it's-
classic.